In a state like Maharashtra, whether it is affordable even at the national level when many states are facing drought and excessive rains, these environmental issues, can we afford to have it? It's not only about sugarcane, it's not only about maize, it's not only about, see there are 5 or 6 agricultural products that can help get more ethanol, extract more ethanol, like sweet potato or potatoes. There are like rice also, you said. Also, yeah. But the larger issue, and that's what the world is debating. What is first? What matters most? Fuel or food? Our problem is not the policy. Policy is good, welcome. But the application of policy is a serious issue. It's again the same thought process. One jacket fits all. It's not. So from consumer standpoint, you are able to pay farmer. That's fine. But what consumer is gaining? How much one can think of ethanol? Because unlike Brazil, which is thanks to Amazon, it's a huge irrigation potential. It has motor vehicles which are running on 100% ethanol. Can we afford to do that?
So you think we have kind of made some hasty decision? We could have done it gradually.
So the number government is throwing at us, it's half truth. The other half truth is how much energy one will be deploying it to boil ethanol to make it fuelable.
In the West Side episode today, we take a look at a subject which is being debated across the state as well as national level, the issue of ethanol blending in petrol. Now, this policy was introduced in 2001 as a pilot project, and after 2 years later in 2003, it was formally launched. Now, initially the idea was the ethanol blending would be 5%, and gradually it was increased to 10%. And the 20% blending of ethanol in petroleum, it was the schedule was it should have been done by 2030. But following the results and the success of the program, as the union government has claimed, has made them rethink this issue, and they have advanced it to 25-26. Now, Girish, what is this policy actually serving the stated objective?
Yeah, definitely it was it is rather a positive move. But when we discuss this policy, we have to have a very holistic view of it, and this has a Maharashtra angle also to it, because it was first devised when Ram Naik was the petroleum minister under Bajpayee government. And now the strongest advocate of this policy is obviously Nitin Gadkari, who has been talking and pushing more and more use of ethanol. But the larger question we should be looking at is this: how green is a green energy? Because what happens, initially we started with 5%. There are various angles to it, and each has its own merit. So we can discuss about this angle. As far as the petrol cost is concerned, diesel pricing is concerned, and the most important factor is importing crude oil is concerned. This is a very excellent move, no doubt about it, because it has saved as much as 1,44,000 crores of rupees in forex we have saved, because we started blending ethanol in fuel. So definitely it's more important. Also from environment point of view, it is extremely important because it's not a fossil fuel. It reduces consumption of and burning of hydrocarbon, which is detrimental to the ozone layer. So from this angle, absolutely no doubt this policy is very useful.
Another reason why we actually took up this subject at the Maharashtra level is, I think in day before yesterday, the Union Minister Nitin Gadkari was addressing a function in agriculture related function in Nagpur, and there he made a very profound statement, Girish, where he said, "My brain is worth rupees 200 crore. I am not at all short of money. And then he went on to, I think he was addressing his critics, where he said, I am not someone who will kind of exploit a government program or any policy for personal gains, or whether it's to make money, or whether it's to promote some family members.
Correct.
Now this statement, we all know how Gadkari speaks. He's always known for blunt speaking, calling a spade a spade. That's inbuilt in him. But the reason why he made this is also because he has been under some criticism from certain quarters where people have started, or the section or that group has started questioning the credentials of this policy which he is pushing. So that's a reason he probably has made this statement.
No, and he or his family members have stakes in ethanol producing facilities. So that apart, I mean, and in a later when you and me, both of us can agree, and since you are from Nagpur, you know more than me. From Gadkari's standpoint, Gadkari's stand at 200 crore is not exactly the amount he would have talked about. It's slightly on the lower side. That apart, see, as I said, the larger question is how green is green energy. This pertains to this one. So we can cite 5 points. Number one, since it's not hydrocarbon or it's not a fossil fuel, it's a kind of a byproduct of agricultural produce. Anything that has what you call carbohydrates, it can be extracted for ethanol. So primarily it starts with sugarcane in Maharashtra, because Maharashtra has 160-75 sugar producing
almost
units,
200,
almost 200 sugar factories. So each one is getting benefit of that. They are converting into using it into or producing ethanol. That's perfectly fine. Now the issue is, number one, is all those crops where you can extract ethanol from are predominantly guzzlers, water guzzlers. Number one. So in a state like Maharashtra, whether it is affordable even at the national level, when many states are facing drought and excessive rains, I mean these environmental issues, can we afford to have it? Number one. Number two, it's not that you produce ethanol and start mixing into petrol or diesel. It's not the case. You have to make it to fuelable level. So what does that mean? It means you have to get the concentrate of ethanol. And one estimate says, so like if there is 100 liters of ethanol one produces, out of that only 13 liters will be fuelable. So what happens to the rest of the thing? So you have to keep on making concentrate out of that, So mainly, to put it simply, you have to boil that. So where that energy comes from to boil that much ethanol, and again the waste of water content, which will be again as a byproduct. Number 3 point, which is the technical term called calorific value. See, petrol has certain calories. I mean, if you burn 1 liter of petrol, it will create a certain amount of calories. Similar number of calories if you want to burn, you will require much more than what petrol is needed. So to put it simply, if you want to cover this particular distance of 100 kilometers, if assuming you need 10 liters of petrol, the similar distance you may need 20 liters of ethanol. So blending it, what happens? Blending brings petrol's calorific value down. Instead of as helping petrol, it brings petrol down because of the difference between the calorific value. And here is the grouse. All those auto walas say now the fuel efficiency is going down, or there is a corrosion, there is a technical issue, engine burning. So there is a point. It's not that there is it's all in the air. There is some valid point to that. So ideally, what it should have been. We shouldn't be using ethanol. No, definitely we should use ethanol. But there has to be some kind of categorization. Number one, as of now, all vehicles in India, you and me can think of, doesn't have a technical ability to consume that much ethanol. So vehicles produced after 2024-2025 can take 25% of ethanol into their engines. Rest of them can't. So ideally, we should have had two sets of fuels, one with 10% ethanol, it's called E10. The second, currently government is talking about E20. But we don't have that policy, and that is the reason there is so much of hue and cry about it.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to ask you about, is this low fuel efficiency. I mean, it reduces, you have already answered that. And the second thing I wanted to ask you is about, it's not just sugarcane. Now we are also talking production of ethanol from maize and rice, and again the rice is, paddy is again the high water intensive crops now here. Now the results that have come up, we have also cross-checked. Now to some extent it's true that, you know, because of promotion of the ethanol, the good news is that the sugar mills, at least the sugar mills, I'm not talking about the sugar farmers, the sugarcane farmers, the sugar mills are to some extent financially sound in that sense, and as a result the impact could be that, you know, the dues which we always held, you know, the sugarcane farmers dues are always held up by the sugar mills.
Correct.
And it's a period of 6 months or up to 1 year. That has come down considerably, in that way. But the question is like, can a state like Maharashtra, where, you know, its drought is rampant, especially in the region of Marathwada and parts of Vidarbha. And Vidarbha, of course, we don't have sugar mills and sugar cane cultivation. But because of the remunerative prices, that's an outcome of the ethanol policy. Even Marathwada, if there is good rain, good monsoon, the farmers are invariably turning towards the cane cultivation. So here the thing is, again the policy is like industries versus the agriculture sector. I mean, in a way, yes, farmers, why shouldn't they take it? Because they're getting the good remuneration in sugar, and it's a cash crop. So there's nothing to lose as compared to soya beans and pulses, oil seeds. But here the problem is, how does the government what kind of policies the state government have to push? Because Girish, if you remember 2016-17 drought, 15-16-17 drought, Maharashtra had very difficult times. And that time the policy, they almost kind of pronounced it. The cabinet took a decision not to allow new sugar factories, not to allow enhanced sugar cultivation, at least in Marathwada region, though it was not enforced strictly. So will this E20 make government rethink? This year we have good monsoons, but we don't know what
it's what you said is absolutely is the critical part of it, you know, because that's what government will have to look at the policy. They will have to revisit, because it's not only about sugarcane, it's not only about maize, it's not only about, see, there are 5 or 6 agricultural products that can help get more ethanol, extract more ethanol, like sweet potato or potatoes. I mean, there are like rice also, you said. But the issue, larger issue, and that's what the world is debating. What is first? What matters most? Fuel or food? And converting as much as possible maize or these products into putting them into ethanol use, there is a side effect to it, you know. There is another story. What happens to agricultural feed? I mean, the livestock feed, because maize in large quantity is used for livestock.
Poultry.
Poultry and cows and buffaloes, you know. So what happens to that? The number will go down. And also the more and more use of water has its own side effects, like it brings the salts out. What is the Punjab story is about? Land becomes, completely what they call useless for agriculture, because all salts will be out.
Nutrients come out.
And then it becomes useless, you know, for farming. So that also is the story. So what waste has done, you know, that's a very interesting learning. We should think of it. Our problem is not the policy. Policy is good, welcome, but the application of policy is the serious issue. It's again the same thought process. One jacket fits all. It's not. So from consumer standpoint, you are able to pay farmer, that's fine. But what consumer is gaining? I mean, there's a story which was told to us that more and more use of ethanol will bring dependence on petrol and diesel down. So that is happening, at least as of now, in certain cases, 20% that is. So subsequently, the logical thing to go with that was that bring fuel prices down.
Yeah.
So for me, when I get 20% of my fuel in ethanol, which is cheaper than that, so obviously the price for petrol should be going down.
Yes.
That's exactly the thing you can find it in West, you know. So West you will find petrol pumps having what they call gas stations, variety of mixtures. Someone will be offering E10, someone will offer E20, someone will have a pure petrol. And accordingly prices differ or they change, you know. That is not happening, and that's why the anger is, if my vehicle common user thinks that it is going to get more damage, so he will have to be compensated by some or the other way. That we are not doing, and that is the question. And so country like ours, which is still a developing nation, you know, so the larger question will be how much one can think of ethanol, because unlike Brazil, which is thanks to Amazon, you know, it's a huge irrigation potential. It has motor vehicles which are running on 100% ethanol. Can we afford to do that? That is the question. And so the Indianization of this policy is very much essential. You know, you can't have adopt a policy and implement it in India, and especially states like Maharashtra, Rajasthan. You know, so that's a larger question.
I also like to draw your attention to his statement where he accepted, Mr. Gadkari, that we're saying that the E20, while it's working for petrol, I think there are some still ambiguity about its success in diesel.
Correct.
And so they'll have to still go explore it further, basically. And majority of at least the commercial vehicles are surviving on diesel. So again, that contradiction.
Yes, because there is a technical issue even for diesel. Like a large number of families now are moving to SUVs, you know, because of road conditions and safety and bigger cars, and all SUVs predominantly they are on petrol. I mean diesel. They are on diesel. And why can't you have it? Because you have to have an instrument called catalytic converter to make diesel burning environment friendly. And over and above that, if you add ethanol to it, it becomes all the more complicated thing, you know. So you have to have that kind of an engineering team working on that, you know, and have a period 5 years down the line. All diesel vehicles being produced in India will have this kind of a mechanism. Currently, the issue is our engines can't cope more than 20%. They can't take it because everything goes down. Corrosion goes up. The burning, the fuel quality, and unless and until you have a solution to this calorific difference between ethanol and petrol, it can't match. Not many people know the calorific terminology, but that's how the auto industry is questioning it.
See, from a consumer point of view, or even if we try to correlate the policy versus its implementation at the ground reality, it's very simple. The statistics are very interesting. I mean, from what the state government has, the center has claimed is that they have saved 1 lakh crore foreign exchange, as you mentioned, a reduction of CO2 emission by 544 lakh metric tons, and a substitution of 181 lakh metric tons of crude oil. So if its purpose was, I think when they went for this policy, was to reduce the dependency on
petrol and diesel,
on imports of crude oil from a thing. Then to that extent, yes, they have achieved to certain extent. But again, to make it acceptance to the individuals, to the common man, or even if it's a high-end person, you know, if it's a high-end salaried class, the whole point is ultimately everybody is going to look at how much is pinching their pockets in that sense. So you think we have kind of made some hasty decision? We could have done it gradually, because 2001 to 2025, yes, we have spent 25 years on this. But then how, if E20 becomes a debatable issue, and if there's a negative impact of it.
Yeah.
You know, if the people start questioning, you know, my mileage is less,
Correct.
my vehicle is damaged. So
Yeah.
at the end of it, the output is I'm spending more on maintenance
Correct.
of my vehicle
Correct.
and, you know,
Yeah,
the low mileage that I'm
Yeah,
getting.
yeah,
It's actually defeating the very purpose of my
Absolutely.
making this fuel as economical.
yes,
And if they start
absolutely.
rejecting it, then what happens? Are
Yeah,
we going to reverse it?
Yeah, this precisely is the point. So in order to prove that policy has been great success, and how it is being implemented 5 years ahead of its schedule and all that, that's perfectly fine. But at what cost? So the number government is throwing at us, it's half truth. The other half truth is how much energy one will be deploying it to boil ethanol to make it fuelable. So where is that energy coming from? This is like the same story which is happening in case of EVs. You are, to take pollution away from cities is not the solution. To villages, you know, the villages, the energy will be produced on coal.
Yes.
And why it will be? Because we want more electricity. Why more electricity? Because we want our cities clean. So this versus that is not the solution. You know, the solution lies in having a bouquet of fuels and offering consumer his choice. As of now, no one has a choice. I mean, if there is a choice, I pay more for my fuel. I'll go for pure petrol. If I want to save more, I'll go for E20. If I want to save in between high and low, I'll go for E10. That choice we are not offering. And more also from the common man's point of view, what is incentive for being environmental friendly for consumer? See, if you go for E20, your petrol will cost you little less. Say something of that sort. I mean, when you are buying diesel and petrol, and especially this imported stuff at zero cost during COVID, then still prices remain the same. You get $20 per barrel concession in buying Russian oil. Still, I pay the same. You are having 20% ethanol in my fuel, and still I paying the same.
Yeah.
How does it work? It's not going to work that way. And so that's why when you want to have a large section of society on board on such kind of critical issues, very sensitive for common man, because it's not that we can have 5 cars, you know, in life. One or two one can think of. So when you play with this policy, there has to be accommodative approach. As of now, it's not, and that is the reason, and that's why it is biting back the government.
Because here, this has been a systematic kind of flaw in our very planning or execution, or irrespective of whichever governments. Yeah. Once you reach certain threshold, now here, whether it's agriculture, produce, or even petrol, if we say, the prices are always stagnant. They never reduce it. I mean, there's no question of reducing, irrespective of the drop in the international prices, as you mentioned, crude oil or even otherwise. So that threshold is never kind of reduced, never reconsidered, never relooked. And here again the issue is, I mean, they could have waited for 5 years. I mean, what was the hurry to advance it in that sense? So if you're not technologically compliant,
correct,
100%, and if you're not, as you mentioned, the choices, you should have to give it to the thing. Because now, Girish, the fear is, the apprehensions is, if this campaign against, you know, it's not a question of targeting certain minister. I mean, politics apart. I mean, politics, it's there, what BJP does, Congress does, that's between them. But the larger question is, when you're bringing certain policy which is, you know, internationally acclaimed and worked in some countries, definitely. When we are adopting it, then you might as well wait, watch, and then kind of enforce.
Get people on board. You know, this is good policy, but botched up or horrible execution. I mean, see, it's very sensitive when it is in India's price sensitive market. You know. Automobile, maybe a two-wheeler or a car, are very dear to families, you know. And so anything that will damage, it should have been, you should tread this path very, very carefully. So best thing is to have a transparency. There is no transparency, there is no industrial body. What we get is something just only celebration. And celebrations, it's necessary, but also it has other side. people should get to know, I mean, these are the things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the advantages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the challenges. Unless you do with such kind of transparency, things are not going to improve, and in the long run, it will be in fact negative for the state and for the nation, because you are putting in so much water, into agriculture fields for fuel. So there was a debate in US in 1999, 2001, and I remember being there and reading those stories, and the whole issue was because every product having carbohydrate was diverted for ethanol, and the large question was the same, food or fuel. Because you may realize there was a shortage of various food items then, in US. That is the reason. And unless we have this approach very clear, one has to have people's kind of mentality, understanding that it's very essential. And the real question is, it may be solar energy, it may be wind energy, it may be ethanol, it may be EVs. The larger question one has to look at it, how green is real green? Even solar also has its own. There is no fuel which is not damaging to environment. So we have to mitigate those damages and look at it very holistically. That holistic approach is missing, and that's the problem.
And also the fear here is, the moment you start celebrating E20, here we are not on merit, demerit of the thing. As we have already said, it's a good policy, but only its implementation is a question mark. Now here the question is like, you lured the farmers to believe that yes, if you take up, this kind of thing. So for example, maize production has gone up in Maharashtra because farmers have suddenly realized that probably if we go for maize, sugarcane cultivation, sugarcane of course the entire western Maharashtra as well as Vidarbha, as well as Marathwada, they whenever there's good monsoon, people invariably are turning to sugarcane crop. Now maize has become a new kind of a mantra in Maharashtra. And I was talking to farmer leaders just yesterday, day before yesterday, and they said there's the production has gone up considerably, and now the problem is they are not even getting the minimum support price.
Correct.
So while we are saying the ethanol production is going to give higher remunerations to the farmers, there's also the impact, when the production is increased and internationally the prices are low, we cannot compete. Our farmers will not be able to compete with them. Then it's going to have a very, very adverse impact on the prices in the domestic market. And here again, the investment of the farmers in maize is not going to fetch them the results.
As it is, to sum it up, as it is, our agricultural production and market is completely skewed because of schemes like MSP, which are completely outdated. Farmers should be allowed to produce what he or she wants, which is beneficial for them. So that is not. But when you encourage one particular produce as a cash crop, the problem is that many will start cultivating that, which is fetching more money. Then the problem arises. The more essential thing will be completely overlooked, and that is the very danger of similar thing happening in case of ethanol, because as it is, sugar canes are everybody is now talking about how they are harmful for everything, for state and farming community and environment. But even after that, there is now this ethanol is an added attraction that is pushing more and more sugar cooperatives or sugar mills, Same thing will happen, and then we will have the basic things, we will be compelled to import. So that shouldn't be the case. We should have a long-term view of every policy, and when it comes to especially energy, we should have a good basket and bouquet of energy forms, unless you don't create such things, it will be totally imbalanced, which is currently now happening.
So what at the end I would just sum up saying that it's basically striking a perfect balance between food and fuels.
Correct.
I mean, either one goes extreme, it's going to have adverse impact on ecology also. Thank you so much.
Thank you.